Hey there, Boots Owen here. This is a Creda tumble dryer Reversair DL Sensadry system. An oldie made in the UK. I can't save this machine and I'll explain why and it'll become clear, but I want to have a look at it before it goes because it's an interesting machine. All metal except for the plastic bits. Metal top, metal sides, metal back, metal grill. It has the option of the pipe on the front, and they've put on an adapter here with some stick-on foam. Pipe on the front or pipe on the back, and you have a plug that just snaps in. Now, I presume there was a snap-in hose connector and they didn't have it, so they got that stick-on thing. Looking at the back here, a 200 watt motor, 2 kilowatt heater, 2.4 kilowatt heater, depending on your voltage. There's some numbers there, might help people. I'd say this is 80s to 90s, this machine. 5 kilo load, made in Staffordshire, even if you're French. Standard 13 amp plug. I'm going to take the back off to have a look at the element, but I'll show you why it's failed first. In here, apparently it was working, just works, like, except for it's a shredder. The bearing on the back may or may not be okay. Oh, it's very tight. I don't know if it is okay anymore. Maybe it's got shards of metal in the bottom of it. The bearing on the back may be okay, but whatever bushing it rests on the front has clearly collapsed, causing the drum to work its way through the outer rim, severing the metal and causing clothing to get snagged and die. Little plastic door. There's no filter in it, which I think is probably, well, I don't know, it's got, the filter would have nothing to do with that, but the filter would allow for this all being full of snots and bits. I'm going to vacuum out this here and just give it a general vacuum. I'll take the back off first and we'll just see what we can see. I want to tip it over on its side and show you something. So it's on its side, and underneath we have two proper beefy casters. You know, they're working still, which modern casters tend to have failed. And on the front it has two glides. Now these have plastic or nylon or some kind of plastic on a little metal box. The front one's lost its plastic, but still it still slides freely, and so if you're pulling it in and out underneath a cupboard, they're ideal. But these are the things that we've lost on more modern machines. That looks like a capacitor mount there. I don't know what all this is here with the fluff, so I'll take the back panel off and have a look. So quite a number of screws all around, and in here have been released. Ooh, okay. Start off with a ball bearing down here. No, a bead. It's not a bearing. Okay, not too bad here in terms of dust. Big solid element, I'd say that still works. Bearing is there. It looks okay. It seems to be in the center of its position. Not too bad. A bit of fluff around there, you know, but that's just not too bad. Fluff could be ancient. There's a kind of a filter unit thing, if you want to call it that. Shroud, maybe. Call it a shroud. So very standard design, just it doesn't have the modern ones, I guess, would have the motor offset. Fan here typically blowing the air or sucking the air down through the element and around, or no, blowing it up and through the element and in. Thermal trip, thermal fuse, presumably. Okay, I'll put the vacuum on it, tidy this up a little bit. We'll have a look in the top first, actually, before I do that. So the top has two screws on the back. It just slides back. It's a bit fluffy. Not much to see here, although there's not, a belt's gone there. Okay, so that's your issue. That's probably why they threw it out. The belt's hanging to the back. You can see where it should be. Some kind of a maybe a suppressor or something there. I don't know, I don't recognize it, and I'll have to vacuum it off to see. Mechanical timer. I wonder, should I save that? And a switch. So I'll vacuum this out because it's quite dusty, and I'll have a bit of a look at it. Inside then, this drum, it's really catching on the front. So I imagine what happened is that the drum caught, the belt then couldn't move because of the friction all around here, and then it just cooked itself and broke down at the motor. To get in at the motor, I presume I have to take the front off, although I don't know, so I might do that. I think if I take this apart, it'll fold up quite small. What I might do is save the element, because these things, you know, come in handy. I'd like to hoover out the front first. There's a lot of fluff down here. I don't know what this panel here is about. In fact, let's just take it off. So I've unscrewed the panel. It looks like it's pressed from a piece that's pushed out of there. So if you can imagine that it starts off like this over here, and then they fold it after it's been cut out. It's stamped out, and then look at all that fluff. It's really gross, dusty fluff as well. Yeah, it's like it's made out of a single piece just to create the vent, although why they don't use louvers? Maybe they want it to be removable. You can see the motor there. Maybe that's how you put the belt tension on. Don't know. It looks like the motor's riveted on from here. These fellows. Capacitor. God, there's big gobs of fluff in there, look. Oh. Dusty old fluff. Right, let's tidy it out. Oh, right, I'll have to pull this guy off to get that out. Let's do that then. Doing this with one hand might be fun. I just need to pull it down and back to relieve it from the front, and then pull it down and forward. We've got all these cables here. So I'll have to say goodbye to you. Like that. More cables holding on. There's the motor holding on there. Now there's cables holding on at the front here. Through that lug, so let's sever them. There we go. So I've got it tipped back up again. The end of that bearing or shaft has worn through this. I think that's for static or earthing continuity or something. There's one screw here, just one. I wonder if that is all there is to release this little guy. I think so. Here's your part number, Creda BAR 77. Looks pretty good to me, that heater. Weird. Yeah, not much to it really. just trying to save some bits that might come in handy later on. Thermal fuses. I presume the motor works. These things, I can't see why they'd fail. The pulleys feel okay. The motor is riveted to the base plate, so it's kind of an integral part of the machine. Capacitor could fail. Cables are held on with those clips. Yeah, so if your element went, it would be pretty easy to fix, as I've just removed it. If your capacitor went, you turn it on its side, you'd reach in from below. Likewise, if your springs here breaks, or if these guys are bad, I think they should just slot out, should they? Yeah. I've replaced one of these before on a hot point, I think. And I paid dear for them. They're not cheap, like 20 quid or something. They're okay. I think one of them was broken, but you buy two or something like that. Should I keep them? I don't know. That's where the pulley goes. That's the pulley for the belt. Very small, quite rusty, so I can see why it cut through it quite quickly. I'm going to scrap that motor. I don't want it. Okay, what else? Let's have a look up under the front panel. So I've got it tilted back and I've taken out all the screws all around. I'm hoping this will just come off like that. Very good. Okay. And we should be able to see what went wrong. So in here, there's a little piece of plastic remaining. And underneath it's completely gone, worn thin, folded over. So there would have been 1, 2, 3, 4 of those little plastic or nylon glides. And once they're gone, and that's where you are. I think they call this fellow here the banjo, and it's an integral part of the front. Looks to be bonded on with glue, so you can't really take it apart to clean it any more than just taking it apart. There's no coins in there, which is what I would like. This looks like a Lego mast or aerial. It's a bit dusty. Plastic. Right, I can't really do much more with it. I could have a look at that bearing on the back. I'll just do that while I'm here, because I can't really strip it any further. I'll take that one bearing cover off. I'll open up that bearing and we'll have a look. So in here, this bearing looks to be standard of all the hot points nowadays. Broken, it's not out. Where's the bearing gone? It just dropped down there. This square. It just feels like plastic. Let's see, where are we? There's the nut. I'm trying to call it a nut. I think it's rusty, so it looks like steel. So there's the shaft on the back, and it actually feels fine. Nothing at all wrong with it. So a bit of a wonder then that the front collapsed, but I guess when it wears away like that, that's all you're left with. Alright, you were going to the recycling centre as metal. Questions or comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching. See you later, Creda.